Well, tell me about some of your extreme failures.
Oh God, where do I start? Look, I think it's about the way that you judge failure, and I'm very philosophical about film distribution. Had to be. I've never done any other job, and it's a pretty risky and kind of stupid business model in a way. And so you've got to become very very calm, I think, about the notion of success and failure. And so one of the things that I've always maintained, and it took me a long time to practice what I preached, but it really is about staying calm underneath great success and not getting carried away by your own success, but also not getting too down about failure. And failure for me is, unfortunately, success and failure in distribution is always countered by money at the box office. I don't necessarily believe that that is what success and failure is, because sometimes you bring great cinema in that affects people that may not work at the box office, but I wouldn't call that failure as such. Sometimes you bring crap films in that do extremely well, and I wouldn't call that success.
So it's perhaps better to be more precise and say there was commercial loss and commercial success.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm a businessman and I have my own company, so there's always a certain amount of commercial responsibility that one has to have in everything that they do. But I think if you lose the edge of not having commercial responsibility or being philosophical about success and failure, then you also lose that X factor of being able to take risks.
Well, let me ask you, I suspect I know the answer to this question, but you would, from what you've said and from what I know about your track record, you would never have bought a film because you didn't like it, but you think it was going to make money. Is that true?
That's not
true.
completely true.
Go on, disappoint me. And did it work out that way?
Look, it does. I mean, you always. It's so hard to quantify at this point in my career how much I like and dislike certain films, because after you see as many films as I do and read as many scripts that I read, you become very hardened to good cinema. And
You no longer like the audience.
No, and what I'm finding more and more, which scares me a lot, is that as I do this for a longer periods of time, the less films that I like, in fact. And the films that I do like out of a festival are really different. I'm not talking about passionately loved, you know what I mean? I've got a brand and I have a company that needs to release 15 to 20 movies a year. I quite simply don't love 15 or 20 movies a year. And so what I try to do then is, we've got a buying team, which is the three partners, me, Sandy and Frank.
Sandy Don and
Frank Cox. And we're all very different. So I'm kind of obviously young male, and Sandy's a woman, and Frank's an older gentleman, I guess you could call him. And we all have different taste. And so what we do with those 20 movies a year is that someone loves them. One of us three loves it. And we've always had the ability of being able to back each other's opinions as much as we can. And so there might be a film that Frank's passionate about, which I'm not particularly passionate about, but it's still a hopscotch movie. And
we've jumped a little bit because we've jumped straight into hopscotch from Dendy. So let's talk about what prompted you and Sandy Don at Dendy to partner with Frank Cox, who had New Vision, a very successful art house distribution company, to create a new distribution company called Hopscotch.
Yeah.
When you were so well ensconced at Dendy.
Yeah, I think, look, I was very well ensconced and could have stayed there for a long time. I was also very young. I mean, I'd run a company for a number of years and I wasn't yet 28 years old. And being the kind of person that I am, I wanted to have my own thing. I wanted to, I couldn't imagine working for somebody else anymore. I just felt like I needed to have something that I could call my own, that I could imprint my own personality and not have to worry about a higher management that may have a different idea about the way things should be done. Or, but I think more to the point, I was young, I was brash, and I was bored. You know, I was I felt I was going through the motions. I'd just come off a tremendous success where I'd bought a film called Amelie from Script very, very early, and at that point in the business, people weren't really buying foreign language from Script. It's actually quite rare now. And I'd bought this film for, again, not very much money, and the film ended up being not only a huge box office earner, but also a film that a lot of people, I think, will consider a modern classic as time moves on. And when I went through that experience, instead of feeling this tremendous joy of bringing this film out, there was a tinge of sadness that it was something I was doing very much, I felt, for my own skill set, but doing it very much for somebody else. And
they got more benefit than you did.
Yeah, and it wasn't much as a money thing, and it's not an ego thing. It's a
Pride?
No, it's not even a pride thing. I think it's a feeling of your own toil leading to your own rewards.
Yes.
I think. And
do you remember what made you buy the film, even though it wasn't a lot of money? I think, what was it?
No, $60,000.
Yes, yeah.
Well, one is that, like you buy any movie, the process is, it's a great director, Junet. He was the half that did Delicatessen, The City of Lost Children. So you knew visually it was going to be amazing. But the script itself was beautiful. I remember at the time reading the script and being so excited because it was, I felt, a different voice, a different kind of voice. And it was
Did you know
also,
the casting?
No one knew the casting. I mean, Audrey Tautou was an unknown.
And she wasn't even cast?
She wasn't even
That's
cast. She wasn't, no. But I remember seeing a photo after we'd bought the script, and about 6 months later we saw a still picture of her on set. And I looked at it and went, that's Amelie. And it was a really, beautiful script, but it was also about a certain emotion. It was about
very positive tone.
Positive, and it was about the small things in life, and it's about all these things that I personally really adore. And so thematically it worked with everything I liked. Filmmaking wise it worked, and that's the reason why I bought it at the time.